Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people, where people are entitled and parents are absolutely insane. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and be sure to tune in for our title story later on down the line. Let's get started. My entitled father came looking for a participation trophy for showing up literally 2 times in my life, days after telling me he failed on an epic level. If anyone has any advice on how to process or heal this or just how to make this hurt less, I'm all ears. Also, trigger warning for mention of unaliving. So, me and my older brother are both his children. We are the products of an affair he and my mother were having on their respective spouses. Can't say we had the best start in life, and it didn't get any better along the way. My father lost everything when I was a baby, and she left him alone before I was 2. My mom is not emotionally mature or healthy in any way, and I'd armchair diagnose a personality disorder or 2, and her replacement dads were not any better. There was neglect and abuse for both me and my brother. From the time she left him until I was 16, I met him 2 times in all of those years. In my mid-30s, I reached out to him, wanting to know where I came from, maybe have one kinda good parental relationship. And that was my first mistake. When I was 16 and my brother was just size 17, Irish twins, my brother couldn't take one more day of the pain and ended his life. I found him. All those years later, my dad tells me at my brother's funeral, my mom told him, "I'm sorry I did this to our son." She basically confessed to abusing him until he couldn't live anymore. My dad did nothing and just left me in her care. I'll admit it took me a while for full ramifications of his story to settle in. There I was, just 16, a minor, in her custody, and should have been protected, while he viewed it as nothing more than the day he saw my mother's mask slip. Several days later, we were talking and I still hadn't grasped it. He told me he wanted to give him credit for being there for me. I refused, telling him I used to cry myself to sleep at night, wondering why my dad didn't want me or love me. From my point of view, he was not there in any way that mattered. Afterwards, it all clicked and I realized how deeply he had failed me and was even less there for me than I thought. I told him we needed to talk, and when he was in a space to hear me, to let me know. And I recommended he line up support either from his therapist or sponsor. I'm still waiting, and it's been a while. After everything, I'm starting to doubt he will even give me the courtesy of a conversation, let alone real accountability or remorse. All I keep thinking about is how he wanted a damn hero cookie for showing up 2 times in my entire life. Dang, it sounds like he let his own mask slip. Unfortunately, you're unlikely to get any accountability or remorse from him. It's probably best to think of him as having a mental disability he isn't able to empathize properly, never has and never will. Acceptance of his disability can be its own closure for you. It helps to align expectations with reality. You wouldn't expect a paraplegic to be an NBA player, and it's similar in your bio father and empathy and accountability and so on. In the meantime, as you work towards processing and accepting, look for a better dad. Heck, volunteer at some senior homes. There are so many people out there, you might as well choose for the family you want. It may sound silly, but I've found you can find people who will gladly fill in some of those missing roles in your life, and it really helps. Anyway, on to the next story. My dad slaps my butt. Is this normal? I am 14. Well, that should answer that all alone as it is, but we're going to continue reading this story. He's done this since I was 9, as far as I can remember. The first time he did it, I was trying to pick out a TV show, and he walks by out of nowhere and slaps my butt. I didn't even have time to think about it before I instantly started crying. I'm not sure what my dad's reaction was, but my mom and aunt were there, and my aunt told my mom I was faking my tears, despite the fact I wasn't, and told her so. He's done it before when I'm bending over, looking for something in the fridge or in the drawers. He started laughing when he saw I was uncomfortable. I haven't explicitly told him I'm uncomfortable with it, but I feel like actions and facial expressions are enough for him to tell. Like I literally walked away from him and he was still laughing. He's someone I don't want to interact with much, but because he's my father, I have to. He likes to push and argue my boundaries. For example, I've stated I don't like him staring at me. I have woken up to him staring at me, and he started an argument in the hospital with me, using the excuse that he's my father and he can stare if he wants. He touches my hair, something I hate people doing without permission, due to my mother pulling it when I was younger, and forcefully pulls me in and wraps his arm around my shoulder while addressing the fact I'm uncomfortable with him. I feel awkward just being in a room with him. I feel like I can't talk to my mother when he's there, even if it's not about him or something normal. He has a history of dating younger girls, which is a major part of the reason I dislike him so much. For example, he and my mother have a 7-year age gap between them. They first saw each other when she was 8 and he was 16 or 15. They didn't officially meet until she was 17 and worked in the same place as him. By this time, he had already married and had his first child with someone. I'm not sure if he was divorced. She ignored him for 3 years due to being uncomfortable with him confessing he had feelings for her. Due to dating his friends, they started talking to each other again. He told her he was kicked out of his mother's house because of a fight with her, and she agreed to have him live with her. He kissed her when she was crying, and during that same time, she became pregnant with me. He cheated on her throughout the entire time, according to her. His most recent event is that he's physically met with an 18-year-old girl, I think. I've also heard arguments between them where my mom said that he told her the girl was 18. She sounded very upset when she said this, like she was implying that he lied to her. I've also heard her say that he was dating a minor, same girl in a different fight. In the past few months, there was an argument between them where my mother said she found him messaging 14-year-old girls, though if I heard it right, they didn't reply back. So yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about all this. I'm just gonna come straight out and say it. No, that is not normal behavior. I would never imagine doing that to my daughter. Any adult who touched a daughter in that way would deal with the consequences. And I'm sorry that's happening to you. I honestly don't know what type of advice to give you other than to vocally tell him that's inappropriate and makes you uncomfortable. If you feel unsafe, please talk to a trusted adult. My mom, 49 female, read my journal, and now everyone is worried about me. I'm not a troubled teenager, I'm not living with my parents, and I don't act out in any way. I'm saying that to put this in perspective, that I'm not some troubled teen who behaves in a way that would tempt their parents to read through their journal. I am a 21-year-old woman about to graduate with my BBA in a few months. I pay my own rent, I have a job, I am in a serious relationship, and so on. My mom has broken my trust on several occasions during my youth. My mom believes she is entitled to everything I do, my secrets, my personal life, because she brought me into this world. She pitches a fit when I don't tell her private details about my relationship, and is obsessed about my virginity and if I have given it to my boyfriend or not. Well, I guess she knows the answer to that now because she read my journal a few months back, and I had no idea. In November, I had no job, no money, and was doing badly in school, and was dealing with tons of anxiety related to my living situation, paying rent, my future, and so on. I have a very strange relationship with the concept of death, and usually use the idea of ending my own life to motivate myself to live my life to the fullest. If you knew your life would end in a year, what would you change today? Think that type of motivation, but a little darker. I was so depressed that I figured I would plan how I'd end my life in the journal, and make it so realistic that it would force me to make changes. I wrote down who I would give my belongings to when I did it, that the best moments of my life were, so on. If you were a parent and read this about your child, you would be mortified. However, my parents don't understand that I just have a strange way of thinking, and obviously took my planned date of December 31st way too seriously. I understand that this is not a healthy way of going about your life, but I'm not looking for mental health advice. I know I have a strange way of looking at things, but at the end of the day, this is my journal for me, not my parents, not for my sister, not for my boyfriend. I keep my journal as a secret, very hidden away, part of my backpack. I take my backpack everywhere. I take my journal everywhere. I visited my parents over the holidays and went to go hang out with my boyfriend, so I assume this is when my mom took her chance and read through the whole thing. My mom, mortified, told my dad, and my dad, mortified, called my older sister. I love my sister and I tell her everything about my life. She has always been my favorite person, and she knows how I am. She knows I'm very dramatic and would never hurt myself. She calmed my dad down and told him I didn't really mean it and he should not worry, but maybe he should be kinder and less hard on me. I know now this was the reason my dad randomly sent me a lot of money over the holidays, to try and ease my anxiety about paying rent and not having a job. I feel embarrassed and hate when people worry about me. My dad phrased this as me leaving a suicide note, which scared my sister real bad, but they did not mention that it was not a suicide note. It was a journal entry, not meant for anyone to know about. Around this time, my mom told me in the car that she knows what I have done, and my future husband will not respect me because I'm no longer a virgin. I thought it was weird. I've never told my mom about having sex. Her confidence in knowing what I have done made me raise an eyebrow. Did she go through my texts? Did she overhear a phone call? As you have probably guessed, I talk about sex in my journal a lot, and now I'm putting the pieces together. And obviously, she read my journal. I'm frustrated, annoyed, embarrassed, and pretty much anything else you could think of. My trust in my mom is broken, and I don't know what to do. I can imagine you should never have brought your journal to your parents' house comment, which is annoying because even I didn't think my mom would stoop to this level. I don't want to bring this up with my parents, however, because my sister trusted me by telling me about her and my dad's phone call, and I don't want to rehash the situation and or break my sister's trust. I guess I just want to tell people about this story since I am very frustrated. TLDR, my mom read my journal, found a pseudo-suicide entry, and now it's awkward. You should get a new journal. Write one singular entry.
Stop fucking snooping.
Put it in your backpack and start a journal on something that can be secured. Maybe on your phone with a password. A different one than any other. Thank you all for watching today's video. I hope you all enjoyed the stories I had for you. Be sure to leave your comments about the stories in the description below, in the comments below. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.